There is only one ticket left in town. If you want to book that final ticket to Ferrari World Yas Island Abu Dhabi, you must be able to win this championship. No ifs, no buts, no ands. We head to the home of sim racing, colloquially. This is the Nurburgring, and this is your final opportunity in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. It's the Americas Regional Finals here on Assetto Corsa. It is round 18 of 18, and I tell you what, if you want to put on Scuderia Red, this is your last chance to do so. My name's Jake Sperry, of course. I have myself E-Series over along with me for the ride. Rory Alexander here with me. Rory, this is going to be some amazing sim racing. You've got two drivers right now split by 11 points, and arguably it should have been a lot more the other way were it not for technical issues over at Laguna Seca all the way back 1 month ago. You get to this position now, and you look at it and you say, I've got one chance to book an almighty place into a stacked world final.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Jake. An absolutely incredible scene has been set. This ending, as you say, round 18 of 18, this is it now. There's only one ticket left, especially in this incredibly hard format. It gets even harder for these AC guys because only one guy goes through, or one driver gets through. As you mentioned as well, we've got one or two drivers. It would seem on paper, and that should have potentially been the other way around anyway if it wasn't for that technical fault. But as we've seen in other regions and on other platforms, the person who goes in on pole or comes into the race in the lead, may not lose it. So it's all to play for.
It absolutely is. This could be anybody's game if you think about it. The fact that you do have drivers who could pick up if there are disadvantages for those up at the front here. Your Ferrari HP Esports Series is brought to you by Santander, Bitdefender, Thrustmaster, Richard Mille, and Next Level Racing. And I tell you what, we are going to be looking forward to our racing and what we've got coming up here for you. The Nurburgring sits as a wonderful circuit, a track which pretty much has been there and has done that and has written the book. This the newer variant of the circuit, which was built in 1984 to basically build up a legacy of we can go and have Formula racing here again from what they've gone through. But as they deal with the format structure, they've been sat and said, well, what can we do? This is top 5 from each region, makes it to the finals. We've got 14 drivers who are there. I think we need one more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be absolutely incredible to see exactly who that is. I'm just full of anticipation for this one, Jake.
I'm full of anticipation as well. They've gone through the hot lap regional qualifiers. They've done round 1 and round 2, which is where we're at now. Round 2, 3 races that's in. And then, of course, they'll be heading to the Ferrari HP Esports Series Grand Finals on December 5th. Who is going to book their place? Now, here with Assetto Corsa, it's slightly different to what you've seen over the championships on iRacing and what you've seen on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Race 1 and Race 2 are exactly the same as they get themselves sorted. Grid decided by Quali result. Grid Race 2 decided by Race 1's grid result. But Race 3, Rory, is different because it's set by a second separate qualifying session. It's a redo, and it's a great chance for drivers who have got themselves in the wrong position through the first 2 races to say, I'll go fight it back when it comes to the final race.
Yeah, it could be a last chance saloon for one of these guys here, Jake. It's absolutely fantastic. As if the format couldn't get any more amazing. I've been a big fan of this format since it started earlier on in the year, but they've got this wild card, as you say, allowing them to really go for it in the first 2 races, and not all is lost. So what we're seeing is just much more aggressive. They're certainly in the back of the pack, and where those points playing positions are, it's been super aggressive because they know they've got a final shot if they got Quali in the bag for race 3. So it's going to again set up for just a fantastic evening of racing, I think.
I really think it will. So now in terms of the regions and where they have gone, we have decided the APAC region of Australasia and Asia. We've decided EMEA, which of course is the Middle East and Europe and Africa. We've now got the Americas to go and decide, and what a battle we are going to be settling ourselves in with the Nurburgring, which of course is the battleground that they had. They had an original race with 9 former champions and 14 drivers all in cars, and ultimately the winner of that was a legendary driver who'd only made a couple Formula One starts, and that was Ayrton Senna. But we are now going to see what is the ultimate challenge of these drivers at the Nurburgring and what this circuit means to them. So the question now will be, what do they do? We take a look at where we've been, and everything has been decided. It's the last chance on the horizon, October 19th, where we are today. And this has been going on, trying to work out from the Americas region right back in August 31st. This has been an autumn of contentness for many drivers out there who have booked their place.
Absolutely. And everybody who's already booked their place is, I guarantee you're going to be watching this one. Who's going to be the last person to stamp their ticket to the party at Ferrari World in Yas Island in Abu Dhabi? It's set up for such a good evening of racing. Yeah, who's going to get that final spot after such a jam-packed and incredible few rounds of racing?
Well, you can see where we've been: Imola, Watkins Glen, Laguna Seca, Summit Point, Silverstone, and now the Nurburgring. So a completely different challenge to what we have seen from the 5 circuits before, and we will see what that Nurburgring does. And it's a long circuit, surprisingly, out there. It's not, of course, the big Nurburgring where you can house about 3 different villages in the middle of it, but what it brings as a circuit is important, and opportunities to make those passes through the opening corner and the arena section out there, down the hill through the likes of the Paget Racing Curve and towards the Goodyear hairpin. I'm sure we're going to see some amazing action. Where do you think the best racing is going to take place, Rory, in terms of this battling, as we take that look around this circuit and how aggressive these drivers have to be? The arena, really important to get right, and down the hill to the carousel-esque Goodyear hairpin, and then back up the hill through the Michael Schumacher-esque, up through Bilstein, Yad Van Arch, over through the Vidal chicanery, and then the end corner to end out the lap. Where do you think the biggest challenge of overtaking is going to be today?
Well, I think it's going to go down to turn number 1, isn't it? But then again, with these guys, this is, as you mentioned, a completely different challenge to what they've had before. Round 1 was obviously at Laguna Seca, a notoriously difficult place to pass, but we were seeing places being taken all over the place. So, turn number 1, down at the hairpin, coming up towards the Vidal chicane. But we're going to see it always here, because they're all going to try and get that final place at the finals.
They really are. They want that last place, that last golden ticket, and we are going to be on that at the moment. Of course, you've always got those switchback opportunities. If you don't get it done at 1, you can look at 2, and you can hold it around 3. Turn 4 is a jutting 90-degree right-hander, which can end things out in terms of that battle down to the bottom of the hill. You might have a chance then just before Bilstein Curve to have an overtaking opportunity, and up the hill towards the Vidal chicanery, I think, is going to be one to keep in mind. Of course, in GT category cars right now, like these Ferrari 488 GT3 Evos, I think we're really going to see the big difference maker out there. You always got to pay your respect to Michael Schumacher, of course, and hope that he has his best wishes every time you come to the Nürburgring after his skiing accident, I believe over a decade ago now. So he's found himself then with a great bit of naming that's gone through, and a corner that does commit to his name and legacy as well around this circuit, really, Rory, because you do have to be 100% committed to the left-right of the Schumacher S to make sure that you hold yourself in good standing.
Yeah, and if you don't keep it pinned through there, you're going to find yourself in trouble at the very next corner. There's going to be places up for grabs all the way around here, Jake. And yeah, I'm just excited to get things underway now. Where are those cars? Let's get them out on track.
Well, I'll tell you what, look at those barriers up at the Vidal chicanery there. That will pretty much determine you are not cutting the corner through there. No chance as they go and get themselves sorted. And this, of course, is a wonderful, wonderful multi-purpose arena out here at the Nürburgring. It's one of the few great places. For the longest time, it held Sim Racing Expo until a couple of years ago, where it moved to Dortmund, where I believe you are at this moment in time, Rory. And so this is a place which has a very, very nice heart of sim racing in mind. It even has its own esports bar, which is down there in the main building.
Yeah, been there. Yeah, it's a fantastic place, actually. Such a great place to have something about sim racing in there, the Esports Lounge, just across the road from the Nurburgring GP. But yeah, the cars, as we see, are finally out on track. And one of our championship contenders are actually our championship leader we're looking at right now, Brandon Hawkin. It looks like on paper that he had it all his own way coming into this with the most points. But there's one driver who we may well see in a minute, Lucas Verler, who actually dominated until his technical issue in race number 3. So let's see. I mean, with all of these things, it's a brand new track. You know, was it just that Brandon and Lucas were Laguna Seca specialists? Do we know how good they are at the Nurburgring? We're going to about to find out in the next sort of 5.5 minutes or so who is the king. Well, I think it is only kings out there. There could be queens, I suppose. But who's going to be the king of Nurburgring GP and get the first blow-in for the first race?
Well, that we will see. Of course, they have those 8 minutes of qualifying to get themselves there, running around on their outlaps here. Brandon Hawkin has a little bit of trouble on his lap. He's looking around at, does he have space out there to go and work with? Someone like Lucas Verler, for example, does have that space at the moment on his outlap, and you're looking for space on a circuit like this, and it's wide, expansive. You can definitely have a lot of room to go and put that qualifying time in, but it's a case here really where you want to have the confidence with the cars in front to go and attack the qualifying laps, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing today.
Absolutely. There's lots and lots of cars on track. You need to find yourself enough space, as we'll see behind here. Brandon's just going to take a little bit of a wider line here, so it's a good run down into turn number 1. And here we go. Now let's see if the championship leader can continue where he left off and get himself P1 to start the evening.
Well, down the hill for the opening corner, that drop, that traditional style drop that we see then on the reworked arena section by Herman Tilke, very similar to the likes of Sepang, for example, just the opposite way of turn 2. Now in through turn 3, you're always looking to pivot to the bottom and keep as far left as you can on the exit, because you'll take this 90-degree right, open it up through turn 4 and attack off the exit. You've got the first section of the circuit sorted. Then you've got this big left that comes along this 90-degree corner that sets up the massive drop down the hill through the Paget Racing curve. And this has had many names over the years, Rory, but the key is you can't be too early on the power on the exit, otherwise you'll be spat out like yesterday's morning.
Yeah, you'll either go wide into the gravel or you will get caught and you'll end up on the inside facing the wrong way. Coming down into the Goodyear hairpin here and then making our way up the hill. Bit of oversteer there on the way out, so he's definitely pushing and then through one of my favourite corners probably in the entire world, the Michael Schumacher S's. You've got to keep it absolutely pinned in here, making your way, keep climbing, find your braking point, slam on the anchors, flow through here, and then you want to get over to the left hand side to open up the straight down towards the Vidal chicane here. So it's looking okay. It looks like he's pushing, but you've got to at this point, because he knows he's got a very, very fast driver who probably should be in the lead of the championship that he is leading right behind him.
It's the endurance chicane that they take. It's a little bit quicker. It means it's less of a braking zone, and then the end corner to end the lap and try and really charge over towards the line. 55.3 is the target from the drivers in front. Brandon Hawkin puts a 55 flat down, improves over Lozano, and then gets the time that he wants. So Brandon Hawkin with exactly what he's been bargaining here right now. Lucas Verler then will go quicker by 0.3 of his own, and with the way that they've set this up and how long the qualifying is, I think they're only giving themselves maybe one real opportunity to go and put those laps. You might be able to reset to the pits and get that all sorted once again, but you're seeing the likes of Franco there, Lopez, and you're really starting to understand now that this is going to be all about gaining that momentum, finding what is necessary out there, and now you are really looking at what can be done. Lucas Verler is always quick, and Maurizio Lozano right now, third position, is certainly looking to try and get that third place consolidated. It's a huge gap in the championship, Rory, between second and third.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the top two for me this evening, and the top two, Lucas Verler has just set the tone for this one. After his technical issue, as we keep talking about last time out, you know, he would have been thinking about this for like the last month or so. Same with Brandon Hawkin. He would have dreamt, oh, can I come in and, you know, can I sort of change the sort of the tide, turn the tables? But it doesn't look like he has done already. Almost 4/10 of a second. It's a longish lap round here, 1 minute 50 plus, but still almost 4/10 of a second. Verla looks pretty commanding right now. But we did see Hawkin jump straight into the pit, so I wonder if he's going to try and squeeze another lap in. But right now, it looks like Verla is on pole.
You got to remember that these drivers are allowed to finish the laps that they start. So that's in the back of the mind. Lozano making his way, 54.6 to try and beat. That's a 55.2 over the line. So he's 0.6 of a second adrift, but crucially, ahead of Santino Francadavico, he is 0.6 of a second clear. So Santino Francadavico is going to have some work to do to try and pull that gap back in. But Brandon Hawkin right now is looking at, okay, I've got 40 seconds remaining on the clock. There was a car in the wall back there trying to get that sorted. I didn't quite catch who that was. So Verla will see whether Brandon Hawkin will be able to improve or not, and is going to be able to really charge for it. And just rejoining the circuit, actually, in fact, at that point, Marino has moved up then into the fourth position out. Oh, sorry, not the fourth position out there, but more rather has jumped up to the ninth position with that time. So certainly was able to jump up and improve, which is a very positive thing for him. And so what Randy Marino will be able to do will be to be smiling at that point. But Verla now is going to be concentrating, because he realizes, as the checkered flag has come out here in qualifying, he knows that this is a statement, and if there is any fight back from Brandon Hawkin, he's got to stamp on and say, you know what, I can go quicker still.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the last ones to cross the line there. He started his fastest lap with 18 seconds to go, and I noticed just up the road was Brandon Hawkin. So it's going to be interesting. It'd be great to see if we could see him jump in with Brandon Hawkin first. He's a little bit further down. I think he's just heading towards the chicane, actually. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with his lap, and then immediately turn our attention to Lucas Verla to see if he can actually extend the lead or just consolidate. Let's see, though, what Brandon Hawkin's got here.
Well, Brandon Hawkin needs to find nearly 0.4 of a second. It will be a tall order task if he is to manage that. But now, as he runs out then through now the Bilstein corner here, this long right-hander, 90 degrees, waiting for the power on the exit. He's certainly hoping that his lap times are going to be in the wheelhouse of what he's hoping for. Up the hill, he will start to charge out to the Advan Arch, now to the Vidal chicanery, and hoping that he's got this one thrown into the corners. It's on rails through this section, up over the high curb, leading to the end corner to try and finish the lap, sliding it through, and he's really throwing what he can. Has that just cost him that time? 54.6 to try and beat the 55.3. The lap just abandoned late. Verla almost beaching himself there, knows he's clear and knows he's got what he wants. The likes of Emmanuel Lopez goes fifth fastest with that time. But my, oh my, Lucas Verla is in the same form as he was at Laguna Seca. He's on pole, and this time it's a lot more comfy.
Yeah, that'll be a sigh of relief there for Lucas Verla. As I said, he's had a long time to think about this, around a month, to see how this was going to go for him. You know, what was Brandon Hawkin going to bring to the table, or was it going to be status quo? And it very much looks like at the moment it's going to be status quo. But as we've mentioned, the tracks are very different here. It's not going to be a case like at Laguna Seca. If you get away and you get away in the lead, it's going to be incredibly difficult, for the P2 car to get through. Here, there is multiple opportunities, and Brandon Hawkin now has got absolutely no choice but to throw everything at this. There is only one driver out of those two to go through, or somebody else if they come to the party. But it's got to be all hands on deck here.
It absolutely will. So that's the championship standings as they look. Brandon Hawkin on 61 points, Lucas Verla on 50, and look at how it stacks up from third down to seventh. Santino Francadavico, Maurizio Lozano, Lucas Murno. You've got Alexandre Fritz Conti, who is in there, and Emmanuel Lopez, who qualified well. So keep an eye out on Lozano, on Francadavico, and as well Emmanuel Lopez, because they are third, fourth, and fifth, and Murno is sixth. Out of those drivers, you got in 10th position Alexandre Fritz Conti, and Angel Chan, who's 8th, has qualified the car in 12th position. So Angel Chan will have a lot to do in the Ferrari HP Esports Series here at the Nurburgring to chase that down. But crucially, it is Lucas Vela who had the pole in qualifying ahead of Brandon Hawkin, and it was a massive statement qualifying out there. 54.6 compared to a 55 flat. That is definitely not just I squeaked out that in qualifying.
No, it was very dominant there from him once again, as we saw from the first 2 rounds out at Laguna Seca. But with this turn number 1, I am slightly concerned here because there's a lot of cars arriving very quickly. It's a very tight turn. It's one of the most notorious first corners in the world for incidents. The first 2 will be wanting to get away from everybody else first of all. I don't expect actually there to be too much of a challenge into turn number 1, or I guess that's the dilemma. Do you challenge into turn number 1, try and get the lead if you're Brandon Hawkins, or do you sit behind him and risk not being able to get back through? Because if you're going side by side down there, there's a chance that one of the many others who've got pretty much nothing to lose here, who are going to be absolutely going for it, could come into play.
He certainly could. You look at the likes of John Ackerman, who could make himself known with 16 points, likes of Gabriel Peckley, Tyler Sedaka and co. They're all there and they're all hoping for points and to move up in the championship standings. If not for the one position out there, then for pride would be a huge matter of perspective for them as they will look to set up. So with Lucas Vela on that pole position, he's going to be hoping for the big run, and we're going to have 6 red lights that will be coming up on shortly, and the first of 3 15-minute races to decide the final position in the Ferrari HP Esports Series Grand Final. Is there going to be a chance then for those who want to look behind to go for it? Green flag in the air. Lucas Vela gets a very nice launch off at the start. It goes from about 5 wide to 3 wide down into the opening corner here, where it bottlenecks through the small kink over to the right. But crucially, Lucas Vela's got the start that he wants. Big lunge. Oh, contact there for Brandon Hawkin. Round's going to go. I believe that's Lozano who got the zone. Sorry, no, it's Franco Davico who made the contact there. So Santino Franco Davico taps the rear of Brandon Hawkin and goes around himself.
That's exactly what I was talking about just before we got underway with this one. Brandon Hawkin just about got away with it there, but Franco coming in like a wrecking ball at the start there, just outbraking himself, I think, side by side with another car. But Brandon Hawkin, I don't know really actually, is it a sigh of relief or is it frustration now that he could be potentially carrying damage here as he tries to catch Lucas Vela, who has already got a 1.5 second lead on the rest of the field?
It depends on how significant the damage is, or if there is any for Brandon Hawkin to determine whether he can come back and look forward. It certainly affected him through the opening corner and has let that margin slip out immediately here. Lozano is there, so too Angel Chan, who's trying to get past Bruno Fantozzi for position here. So Fantozzi has definitely done a very good job in the early stages of this one. He's up 1 off of this start, hitting the brakes then through the big left-hander, leading onto that next section. And a lot of these corners are cambered slightly out there on track. There's no true corner around the Nurburgring, really, you can say, that is pancake flat, and that's why I love it.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic track, and you've really got to be on your guard here because there's so many opportunities for other people to overtake, and people here are going to be absolutely chucking in, as we saw there at the start of turn number 1 there. But let's have a look here as Lucas Vela comes across the line. Let's see what the timing beam says. He's going to have at least 1.5 seconds, I think, already. I mean, it's a little bit kind of together in the backfield, as you would expect. Lots of moving, lots of weaving, lots of people going for pride here. But up front, Vela is in a commanding position. He'll be wanting to take back his championship lead.
And round the outside there as well, you've got Max Bowman looking to try and get that pass. And can Bowman get that through? A little bit of a wiggle from Angel Chan in front, but it's going to be a case that Rodrigo Rojas is going to lose out. Oh, you don't want to get much closer than that. John Ackerman getting a little bit friendly out on circuit with Ran Marino. Runs wide through turn 4, trying to avoid contact back, and he's going to keep that one in position. So a good pass by John Ackerman, who is down 1 over the course of today's running already, and he is looking to really charge through the Padgett Racing curve and over towards that next group in front.
Yeah, the mid-pack has been feisty at last time out at Laguna Seca as well. So, if someone goes off there, it's down the back, so it won't matter too much. But it's kind of carrying on from what we saw at Laguna Seca. The two out front were pretty much gone, and then it all kicked off behind as people were just racing, just trying to get every single position possible. And we're seeing it once again today, and it's so entertaining to watch. I love it.
Yeah, so that was Elias Gabriel who found himself in the gravel at the Padgett Racing curve, and that's why he fell a little bit further back. The recovery of Santino Franco Davico will continue. Eyes on Diogo Moraes as his next overtaking target right now, and this is the best place to get a good run right now because you're down the hill, you've got that uphill charge to try and go through at the Advan Arch and over towards the Vidal Chicanery. It's very difficult to find a place here to get really sorted on the brakes. This Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo, as fastest laps go trading about then at this stage as drivers look to go quicker. Hawking there at 2/10, but speaking of which, Santino Franco Davico getting it done at the end corner and getting it done quite nicely.
Yeah, I don't know though. Has he left himself open here though, Jake? Sorry to cut you in here. Has he left himself open here? I would have personally waited. Now he leaves himself open here as they go almost 3 wide into turn number 1, but Franco's got the move done. Quite risky there, but I guess he's got no time. He's got to make his way up the pack as quickly as possible after that turn number 1 instant at the start. So let's see who's he's after next.
Well, we will see who he's after next, and that answer is going to be Ran Marino, and that's how far forward he's got to look as they go through the left, then and in towards that Padgett Racing curve for the 3rd time here in this race. John Ackerman looking to hunt down, and got some very nice packs being formed, and you can see the difference there, down at the bottom of the hill, and then back up it then, down at the Carousel-esque Inspire Goodyear hairpin. So now you get that really big look and say, right, we're going to have to charge up, and almost a bit of contact over the curves. John Ackerman is all over Rodrigo Rojas then, looking left and right at the Schumacher-esque. Not a traditional place to pass, but thought I almost had one.
Yeah, you can see him there, he's flashing his lights and everything. He really wants to get past as quickly as possible, but he needs to get it done because he's got Marino right behind us. He runs well out wide there, and he's going to bring Marino straight back into play. I expect to try and undercut him here. But as we say, we are at the endurance version of the Vidal chicane, so it's extremely difficult. There's less of a breaking point here, but let's see if he goes for it anyway.
Well, here goes the move. Ran Marino down the inside is going to get the pass made here at the Vidal Chicanery. 9 minutes on the clock then, and looking to fight back at the end corner. There's a car off there, and that's very dramatic for Angel Chan, who's in the gravel and now finds himself dropping down the order. Has he just had a moment out there with the curbs, or did Bowman get close to him? I'm not quite too sure, but dramatic nevertheless. Down towards the opening corner. What a dogfight between these. Ran Marino down the inside of Rojas, but here comes back the up and under into the arena. Now it's the long road of 2, the long road of 3, and 4 that becomes important. The long road of 2 is made, and good intentions were there from Ran Marino. He's now 8th.
Yeah, great move there. He can afford to go deep there at turn number 1 because there's no chance you're going around the outside at turn number 2. You do risk having a cutback at turn number 3, which he tried, but he's got the move done and he can start looking forward. Well, I think actually he'll end up looking backward, to be honest. It looks like an absolutely incredible fight back there.
Certainly does, as here is Lucas Murno in that 4th position, eyeing up that 3rd, held currently by Emmanuel Lopez, who has gained 2 spots over the course of this race. So too has Lucas Murno, and the car that has dropped 2 places behind them is, of course, Mauricio Lozano, who is trying to maintain his 3rd place in the championship and manage that the best way that he can. Now, point scoring's important. Effectively, we're running to a formula-style point system, or sometimes what is now, we can commonly say here, Rory, a 2025 formula point style.
Yes, 25 points for the leader, and then it works its way down there all the way to 1.4 place. But to be honest, it's just going to be about the front 2 at this point, and who's going to get those 25 all-important points. Because whoever wins this is going to be in a great position for race 2 to go into race 3 and stamp their ticket to the final. But yeah, more moves being done here. John Ackerman, who's under pressure, just absolutely going for it here. He's got nothing to lose, has he? He's absolutely just out there for fun, and so is so many other people. They're just out there having fun while all the serious stuff is happening, up the road.
2.7 seconds, your race leading margin. John Ackerman with a great pass there through the Vidal chicanery to get that move done. That was wonderfully done. And too wide, you have to have commitment through that corner to know that you're going to get the clearance halfway through the chicane. And it is such a fast chicane in the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo, where you consider that it's got that twin turbo V8 that is in that, producing 600 brake horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute. And Lucas Murno is going to need all of what he's got underneath the bonnet to spool up and go, yes, I need to get a little bit more pace to go and find that move, because we are now down towards the final third of this race coming up in the next minute. And for Lucas Murno, he's been patient, he's been waiting, but how long do you want to? Here comes Santino Francadavico trying to go the long way around down at the Goodyear hairpin, and he doesn't quite get what he wants, but he'll get drive off the exit here, and he'll go side by side through the Schumacher S. Some will say it's brave, some will say it's foolish. I say no change of position.
No, absolutely bravery there, but he's going to find himself in trouble here as the red car behind is going to, the beautiful red car behind there, as all Ferraris should be in my opinion. The beautiful red Ferrari is going to be on the back of him here. They're going to have a long run down the straight now up towards the Vidal chicane. There is literally no letting up here in these short 15-minute races. They are all absolutely going for it, especially as they know for many of these drivers it's going to be the last 3 races that they have in this championship, so they're putting it all on the line.
They are putting everything they can possible. Defensive line taken by Rodrigo Rojas there, knowing that Francadavico wants to try and get that pass through. And now the front stretch run is going to be important. That's why maybe the end corner's not the greatest place to defend. And now having to go all the way to the pit wall to try and cover it off. To the outside goes Davico. Oh, and there goes Fritz Conti. Too aggressive down on the brakes, and so too deep goes one Rodrigo Rojas, and sometimes it pays to be the earliest on the brakes because you might be the only one that makes the corner.
Yeah, very, very lucky there. To be fair, good move there. Just take to the outside. He knows that there's plenty of space on the outside. Many other drivers who aren't at this level would have maybe just gone in and absolutely skittled the pair of them. So good job there. They all live to fight another day in these final 4 minutes of this race, and it's been action-packed so far, just like it was at Laguna Seca, down the back. I mean, we've got battles all the way up. But here we are looking at the battle for third place, fourth, is it fourth or third? It's third place, I think it is here, with Murno now on the back of Lopez. Lozano's dropped off a little bit, so let's see who's going to end up with this final podium position.
Yeah, Lozano now at 0.6 of a second. He's got work to do to try and bring himself back in. Murno has been wonderful in the way that he wants to try and construct this. He has waited and waited and waited, and how patient will he be? They are exactly 10 seconds almost off of Brandon Hawkin here, 9.5. So they are really looking at this thinking, well, can I find this way through? Can I find this path? Answer to that is going to be no. Not at this point in time, but with the way that they cross the line and the times that they're doing, they'll have about 2 laps to go here, Rory, to make these moves happen. Angel Chan back here in 13th positions thinking, you know what? I want a piece of this as well, thinking about it through the lefts and rights, but no angle in at the Vidal chicanery again.
Yeah, everyone's pushing, as we always say, till the end of the race here. It's absolutely frenetic here as we absolutely pile around this Nurburgring GP track. It's such a different vibe, this one, to the one that we had at Laguna Seca, with just moves left, right and centre. Such a nice, big, wide, open GP track with massive braking zones. So different from the previous track out in America, and people are just really, really going for it. A couple more laps now to go. We've got about 2.5 minutes left in this one, but there's still plenty to play for here, as well 1 and 2 are potentially wrapped up, but we thought that before when Lucas Verla had a technical issue, so that's probably in the back of his mind as well. But what I really want to see here is who's going to be on the final step of this podium for race 1 and put themselves in P3 for the start of race 2, because obviously the quali sessions, the quali for next race is essentially this one, so the finishing positions will be where they finish, where they start for the following race. So I'm interested to see who's going to get that final step of the podium in this one.
I think race 2 is going to be very interesting because with the way that Lucas Vela is at the moment, 11 points of margin will turn down to just 4 points of margin at the front. He's been faultless with the way that he's been driving. But Murno, again, still looking to be effectively the Scuderia red Ferrari shadow there in silver. Now looking to try and find a way to get close and to try and make that move. But at the moment, Lozano's taken a couple of laps to get a breather. Now's pulled back up onto the top and has realised that there is not long left. Just the 1 lap, Rory, left here in race number 4 of the season. Race 1 tonight. So Lucas Murno, can he find the almighty move down into turn number 1? He's still about a car length back, and it might have to be a big throw down the opening corner. And you know what? He half thought about it.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go for it there, but he's just letting Lopez know, I am here. And it's not going to be easy, but he also can't fully commit because he's got Lozano right behind him who's thinking exactly the same thing. He wants to get after Murno here. So it's just going to be an absolutely fascinating final lap here. The front 2 are gone, so it looks like it's going to be status quo and, everything's gone perfectly for Vela again. But let's see exactly what happens here as we make our run down out of the Mercedes-Benz arena and down through the left and the right before the hairpin.
You could have almost seen with the exhaust flame coming out of the back of Emmanuel Lopez's Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. He could have very easily have lit the front up of Lucas Murno. Little bit deep there into Goodyear and trying to climb up the hill. Murno is trying to work out whether he's got this. They've allowed Bruno Fantozzi onto the back of this one, so it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and now 6th. Trying to fight it out for this. There's the drive that's maybe needed here from Murno. Can he get one over to the inside? No, he still can't find it, and he might have to wait all the way for Vidal. But your race leader right now, Lucas Vela, it is more of the same as what he had over, of course, at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. With 1 corner to go, it will be his 3rd win of the season and will turn 11 points of a deficit down to just 4. First strike to Lucas Vela. He takes race number 4.
Absolutely fantastic from Lucas Vela there. Job done. He can breathe a sigh of relief here, but who can't? Is Lopez here. He's got Murno and Lozano and Fantozzi both right behind him, but it looks like he's going to hold on here, Lopez, for 3rd place. Lucas Murno is going to have to wait for 4th. But yes, Vela, Hawkin, and then Lopez, your top 3 for this first race.
Yep, so they are doing a wonderful job there over the course of that run. So a wonderful bit of construction in the Ferrari HP Esports series. So that was wonderfully done in the opening race. Lucas Vela getting exactly what he wanted and then some, but Rory, 5 seconds pretty much says everything that you want. So I tell you what, that was perfectly done in the opening run. And you can't really argue too much more about it to say that Brandon Hawkin here, he's going to realise very quickly, he's in a race right now.
Yeah, he's on the ropes big time. I mean, Vela has just done exactly what he wanted to do. He's picked up where he's left off. Every race that he has finished, he has won, which is all you need to know here. And he's led from the front as well. He's been on pole for every single race, and he's won every single race that he finished. And this is how the championship standings look now.
Yep, 4 points the margin now, Brandon Hawkin and Lucas Vela. You've got Emmanuel Lopez, who finds himself then into 3rd position now with that, moving 2 points clear of Lucas Murno, and Maurizio Lozano now is falling 2 points back of that. Santino Francadavico drops down to 6th position, and as long with Alexandre Fritz Conti and Angel Chung continuing to stay on 17 points out there. Bruno Fantozzi, they're having a great run. He might actually move himself inside the top 8 of the championship, all things considered. With his run up through 16 points, he'll certainly take all those right now as he ties his points with John Ackerman. Max Bowman also up there on 14 points, and the chase very much on here around with this. But that was race 1. Finding itself all sorted. Of course, we've got ourselves race number 2, which is trying to bring itself into play using exactly the same grid as the results from race number 1. So that battle that's on for third in the championship continues in exactly the same place it left off. And Brandon Hawking gets a second chance of that run down into the opener.
Yeah, he's going to hopefully have a much lesser sort of like a difficult time, because he went, I think, a bit conservative there going into turn number 1 in that last race and almost paid the price for it. But for Lucas Verla, all he needs to do is exactly the same. Could this be the last time that we see Brandon Hawking in P1 in this championship? He's got to absolutely go for it now. There's not really too much to lose here, because they get another qualifying session after this race anyway to set the race race start for race number 3. So yeah, stage has been set here for, we've only got 2 races left. So yeah, it's going to come down to this. It's absolutely fantastic so far.
Yeah, so we've seen some wonderful racing out there. We've seen how important the battle is up at the top. But isn't this just the most amazing, I would say, audition tape for Lucas Verla? He has been undefeated so far, and he is up against it in the championship, which goes to show you just how amazing one race makes in terms of a difference in this championship, and it will continue to make a difference in this championship.
Yeah, and it also goes to show how lethal this format is. You know, one thing that goes wrong, it can really put you behind the 8 ball, and we've seen it in other regions and on other games or other sims, where, you know, technical issues have ruined people's races. And, you know, Lucas Verla will be hoping that he doesn't get the same gremlins that he had last time out, and that he can just go and win this next race. His mentality for me has to be just get the job done. Just keep going, take it one race at a time, and then just try and stamp that ticket to Ferrari World Yas Island in Abu Dhabi.
He wants a December 5th spot, there's no doubt about it, and we certainly got the sense that from what Lucas Verla was able to do in race 1, he's certainly got a lot to prove. And well, while there isn't necessarily going to be a place at the end of the day for 3rd, for 4th, for 5th, the work done by the likes of Emmanuel Lopez, Lucas Murno, Maurizio Lozano, they're all there. The one driver would be kicking himself who had the perfect chance there in that race 1, Santino Francadavaco. He's got the pace, but of course that contact at turn 1 with Brandon Hawkins sent him around, and he took the most shallow line possible, which of course is the steepest drop into the opening corner.
Yeah, but it's hunt or be hunted down into turn number 1. You know, he's got to take that inside line, because otherwise, you know, he could potentially end up being overtaken anyway. So, you know, it really is a no-win situation down there. He had a bit of an issue later on as well, so he'll be looking to make his way back up the field. But all of these guys are racers, and they'll be trying to race for pride. So they'll all be racing as if a ticket is on the line.
They will be, and race 2 on the line and underway. And once more, it's a fantastic start by Lucas Verla, who will get the launch that he wants. And once more again, it's going to be a case of how do you defend Brandon Hawking. He's looking backwards at second here at what Emmanuel Lopez can do as he tries to sweep to the outside. Comfortable line, unchallenged through the opening corner, but a little bit easier this time for Brandon Hawking, who's maybe not been as electric on the starts. And he does need to get himself up to pace and quickly, and this might be a little bit better if he can hold on to that slipstream a little bit more.
Yeah, he almost lost out there. He cannot lose any positions here. It probably goes without saying, to be honest. He needed to defend that with his life, because otherwise he's got absolutely no chance here of catching Verla, who has been dominant so far and is already 0.8 of a second up the road, as we see here. So Verla will be thinking, right, I've got to put in a couple of good laps here. Let's try and build a bit of a gap. As you can see there, he's already built one a little bit. He's pulling away here from Hawking and Lopez and Murno there, as well as battles continue as we enter the hairpin down the field.
Oh, Fantozzi, who lost out quite heavily on the start, went from 6th down to 10th, was looking there at Rodrigo Rojas around the outside, through the Schumacher S now, which is a transfer for these drivers to go up the hill and really attack. You've also got, of course, Alexandre Fritz Conti, who's on the back, who's trying to get through there in that 11th position. Little search over towards the inside. You can see the glow of the brake discs as they go into these corners here, and how much they're having to really try and get the car woed up through that corner and slow down, because they know those 600 prancing Italian stallions which are there are wanting to try and escape at every single point with a car like this.
Yeah, such a beautiful car, isn't it? Such a beautiful car. Obviously, we're using the 296 in the other parts of this championship. It's so nice to see this 488, and these guys are driving these cars to the max. A little bit too much there as Fantuzzi gets a hit from behind there. I don't know exactly who that was, and there's more behind as well. Cars all over the place.
Yeah, I think Moraes has gone around, and so too Emmanuel Gabriel. They're back in towards the end corner, so that's where they all went wrong, and as such, that's going to be them all in trouble as they enter the arena once again and look to try and really mastermind what they've got available to them. The gaps have certainly thrown themselves out early, but I tell you who has made some great progress early, Santino Franco Davico, who has got himself up from where he was now up into 6th position, so he's had a really nice start at things. This is Bryant Matter, who's looking at Bruno Fantozzi for position, and Fantozzi now is very much in a defensive pack because he's 1.6 seconds away from any form of civilization in front.
Yeah, it's a bit of a truly train going on here, but they all want to get that 1 point. These drivers, as I mentioned earlier, they're all absolute racers. They've got such pedigree here. Even getting to this point is an achievement. Yes, they've probably been overshadowed somewhat by the Verlers and the Hawkins of this world, but they're still absolute racers at the end of the day. So every single position is going to count. They're absolutely going to go for it. For many of them, there's only 2 races left in this championship, so this is their penultimate one. They won't have any chance of going to the final, so they're racing for pride right now, and they have a lot of it.
Yeah, and that pride is going to be really important. Bryant Matter here is hoping that he can pick up a few more points out there at this moment in time. So here goes Santino Franco Davico looking to the outside of the Vidal chicanery, and he gets the advantage because over the anti-cut curbs and round is going to go Lozano, and Mauricio Lozano now is going to drop dramatically down through the field as he gets it turning around. He's now outside the top 10, and all of a sudden it is Santino Franco Davico inside the top 5, seeing 4th and 3rd in front.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't even need to make the pass to make the pass. It's all about the pressure here. Enough pressure was put on as he went into the Vidal chicane, and he got all crossed up on the exit, and 5th place was his. He's now looking up the road, of course, to see the battle for 3rd. Let's see if he can get up onto the back of them and make it a 3-way dance for 3rd place here at the Nurburgring.
Oh, Max Bowman now also dealing with Rand Marino here as the 2 Americans now go at it looking for places to be found, and Bowman has got what he wants and he's getting better and better with each and every race here. So Max Bowman with a big smile there as he gets by, and there is Alexandre Fritz Conti round the outside down to the inside of the Paget Racing curb to try and get it sorted off of the exit of the corner. Still can't get the clearance that he wants, finally does, and he's got the pass. Brilliantly constructed. Keep an eye on that gap on the front because it was a second after the opening lap and it's only been 2 tenths after. Way too deep on the brakes goes John Ackerman. A tap to the back of Fritz Conti. He gets more of a tap from Bryant Matter and still holds.
Unbelievable racing here. Absolutely fantastic. And it goes to show what it means so much to these guys. This is the final or the last, the penultimate race for many of these guys. They're leaving it all on the line here. It's absolutely fascinating watching here at the Ferrari HP Esports. Brilliant stuff to watch.
Yeah, this has been fantastic, and Lucas Murno, who's been staring at Emmanuel Lopez for a race and a 3rd at this point, goes to the outside searching at the Vidal chicanery. Still can't quite find what he wants because Santino Franco Davico is also there now and has joined this group and would definitely like to find a way through. Fastest laps of each race is each for Verla and for Hawking. 1.2. The gap this stays and remains at this stage. Murno hard over to the inside goes Emmanuel Lopez to the outside searching, and the road is longest, is hardest travelled, and look at the way that Lopez just plants the car. He has got the widest car in all of Germany at this moment in time. How do you pass him?
Yeah, I don't think you can at this point. He's holding on for that 3rd place like you would not believe, putting the car in exactly where you need it. He knows exactly where to defend here. And the other 2 just don't actually have an answer for him right now. Let's see where he puts it here as he comes down the hill towards the hairpin. He's got a couple more places as well, but that's definitely where he's going to get the most pressure here. Down towards the hairpin. Look, a slightly wider line there from Franco, looking to get on the power earlier and then have a run down the hill. Let's see if he goes up the inside. But Lopez here is going to go defensive. like he should be, but he may well have the undercut coming out up the hill towards the Schumacher S's. This is great viewing. I absolutely love this.
I love it as well. This is wonderful between them at the moment, and Lucas Murno, who has been bottled up and bottled up and bottled up, is now looking everywhere for this pass. I tell you what, Emmanuel Lopez has thrown the kitchen sink to this defence, but the long way around, now heading to Bilstein. Oh, this is wonderfully sorted there in terms of the pass. Easy as you like. Lucas Murno finally dispatches of what he wants, and behind in the background, Marino through on Bowman as they continue on their switches at the moment. Here comes Santino Francadavico looking to make it 2 in 2 corners, and does so.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. They're round the outside into the Vidal chicane, gives you the inside from the second part of it, and then Lopez has gone from 3rd to 5th in a mere couple of corners. The pace of these guys is incredible here. Let's see how quickly Merlo and Franco can pull away. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do too much, but let's see what they can do.
Bowman now hoping to find his pass on Rand Marino down the hill towards the opening corner once again, looking to take that downhill launch, get the drive off the exit, middle of the road driving into the arena then by Rand Marino, and he is doing what he can at this stage to hold his station, and takes the big curb wide line, does Bowman, looking to try and really maximise his exit of 3 into turn 4, can't quite get it, and off and away they go once more. That is not quite what Bowman was hoping for, but he's got something quite nice. Brandon Hawkin here at over the halfway stage, almost 2/3 stage, is now dropping back out of the slipstream range here, and this is big in the context of this championship. 1.4 seconds, and there is Lucas Verla, who is smiling and sitting pretty with the way that he is driving right now. This has been some wonderful action he's got going on forward. Hawkin has definitely improved in this race too right now here, Rory, but it's still not quite enough.
Yeah, he's holding the gap here, but we don't know why the gap is being held. Is it because Brandon Hawkin is faster, or is it because Lucas Verla is managing the situation here? Whatever's happening, it's a massive psychological blow to Hawkin here, who would have been in the lead of the championship for over a month and would have dreamt about every single scenario here, including the one where Verla could not overcome him, and then he made his way to the final. But that's not the way that it's working out for him right now. He's now 1.6 seconds behind Verla. He's got about 5 minutes to go in this one. Lucas Verla will, of course, take his lead back in the championship if things stay the way they are. But there's only 5 minutes left. However, there's quite a lot that can happen, as we have seen.
Yeah, there certainly is, and I'm just taking a look at who has dropped down the order, and it is Emmanuel Lopez, who is well up there in 5th position, and now he's fallen back with a mistake down to 9th. So Emmanuel Lopez dropping that 2:05 flat, 7 seconds, lost on a mistake, so he's spun the car somewhere out on circuit, and that's dramatically changed this one. So Marino versus Bowman is going to be for a top 5 here in race 5 of 6. So that's going to be a big one. Remember, they'll have another qualifying to go, of course, after this race for race number 3, and the final showdown that is there. But it will be, at the moment, a 4-point advantage, which will be turned into a 3-point deficit for Brandon Hawkin, should they stay like this by the time the end of the race comes around.
Yeah, and then he's going to have no choice but to beat Verla on track, something that he hasn't managed to do so far in any of the races in this area of the championship. But we're concentrating right now on Max Bowman. If we know Max Bowman, we've seen enough of him, and we've seen the way he's driving right now, he is going to absolutely go for Marino here. He is not going to want 6th place. He's going to take every position he can and take every opportunity he can to do as well as he can. He's an absolutely incredible driver, incredibly aggressive as well, as we saw at Laguna Seca. So this should be a battle to watch for the last 3.5 minutes of this one.
It is a great battle, and John Ackerman continuing on his battle right now and looking to the outside then of Bryant Matter, who's done very well in that 12th position. He's been holding station. He's been a sticky wicket to try and find a way around it. The case it's for him of basically being a really strong baseball infield at this moment in time. There's not much that anyone's been able to do to get around him, and now here's the chance for Ackerman, who will use that launch through the Advan Arch over towards the Vidal chicane. Long look around the outside, contact between the two, and Bryant Matter is speared off into the fence.
Yeah, that's not what you want there. But, you know, he fully committed. John Ackerman was not pulling out of that one at all. He was leaving that right in. But now he's got company in Lozano as well. It's obviously not an ideal line going through there when you're going side by side. Obviously, as well, contact is not ideal. So he's now going to be under some serious pressure as he comes down to turn number 1 from Lozano.
Yeah, of course, you've got to remember that Maurizio Lozano is trying to recover in 12th position. He needs points. Bowman now continuing on, seeing Ran Marino there, trying to find a little bit more, and he has been stuck seeing the back. And once more, late on, Bruno Fantozzi and Alexandre Fritz Conti are going to join the back of this group. But here was the issue with Fantozzi in race 1. He joined too late. Is it more of the same here?
Yeah, not sure for him here. He's running out of time, that is for sure. As we're watching the guys head down towards the chicane here, or sorry, the hairpin, should I say here. Absolutely fantastic racing throughout, racing to the end as we've seen. Making their way up now towards the Schumacher S. Max Bowman here has got company, so now he's doing the chasing, but now he's become...
He certainly has become one of those fantastic drivers who wants to try and get past Ran Marino as quickly as he possibly can. So we will soon see whether that is going to be the case. Bowman up the hill now is trying with 1.5 minutes left to go in this one to pretty much say, I can still get an extra place and every point will matter. Alexandre Fritz Conti with a mistake, and he's going to over-rotate through the first part, slide through the second. He's done so well to hold that together, but he'll be so slow on pace. There goes Angel Chan into 9th position, and Rodrigo Rojas sniffs the top 10 potentially, but Alexandre Fritz Conti with the mistake, and he finds himself looking a little bit further back on the final lap. We are 1.5 seconds difference. Bowman continues to remain close.
Yeah, really close here. They're going to have to battle all the way down here. Let's see how he gets on. If he tries to make a move here, it's going to be difficult here through the Mercedes-Benz Arena, but then he needs to make himself he needs to get in the correct position here for the big braking zones of the hairpin and then towards the Vidal chicane where we've seen so many laps before. But I'll leave it with you, Jake, to talk us through this final lap here to see if Max can make the move.
Well, Max wants it, and he really wants to try and make sure that he can get what he wants from it. Max Bowman has been sitting and looking to be as pretty as he possibly can, hoping that he knows that a day like today, he might be able to climb up. But at this stage, you start thinking about everybody else around who has climbed up, who has been looking at that adversity level and saying, we're all searching for points, but one driver's taking them all at the moment. He's put Brandon Hawkin and said he took him to task in race 4 of the season. In race 5, it was a lot closer. Hawkin stood up to the plate, but Verla still crushed it over right centre field. This has been Lucas Verla saying, I'm back to where I belong. 4th win of the season, 3 points clear with 1 round left.
There he goes here, but it's not over here, so he's going to be relieved. But I'll tell you who's not going to be relieved are these guys here, as Max Bowman is absolutely chucked in, and he's gone. He's gone. This is the risk that he's taken, but that's going to be the end of that. Luckily, he didn't collect anyone on the way through, but that is going to be the end for Max Bowman, fighting to the end. He's going to have some issues here as some other drivers come around the outside of him there. But yes, Lucas Verla is back on top, where I'm sure he thinks he belongs.
Yeah, he certainly has got what he wants from it, and he is masterminding a wonderful recovery here in what might be the most dramatic finish to any of these qualifiers coming along in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. That final ticket is coveted, and we have certainly seen how wonderful that will be, and that was simply put sensational in the way that they constructed it. A 4th win of the season for Lucas Verla, another 2nd position that finds itself in play, and now it is 3 points to Lucas Verla with 1 round remaining. Lucas Murno finds himself 3rd now by 7 points over Emmanuel Lopez, and is starting to put his rubber stamp now on that, with Emmanuel Lopez and Santino Francadavico now moving up into 5th position. Maurizio Lozano drops to 6th, Alexandre Fritz Conti 7th, and Bruno Fantozzi ties him on points now and moves up into P8. The likes of Angel Chan now drops down into that 9th position, but you look down the order, and Rory, wow. We were thinking that this championship, the way the top 2 have been running, would go down to the wire. I think everybody in their right mind was not expecting that it would be this close heading into the final race of qualifiers.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Only a few points in there between them, and it truly is going to be, assuming it's just the front 2 there, it's going to be winner takes all. The winner of this next race, as long as it's the front 2, of course, will be going to Ferrari World Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. It's an amazing story. Exactly what happened. Lucas Verla has dominated. Then he had his technical issues. Now he's back dominating again. But then there's been super consistency as well from P2 there. So, you can't really take too much away from them here. And it really will be that the best driver will stamp their ticket to the final.
And it really tells over the course of the racing, Rory, because you're looking at the gaps between 2nd and 3rd, for example, and it's over 10 seconds each time, which goes to show you that both of them, you could argue, do deserve to be in that grand final, of course, at Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. But when you sit down and put it down on paper, there is only one ticket. Someone is going to go home unhappy, and both of them do deserve to make that final.
I would agree. In every other simulator, that we've got in this championship, there are 2 tickets, but here there is only 1 ticket, and there's going to be absolutely heartbreak for one driver. And I think certainly my sympathies, and as well as yours, Jake, and probably everybody else watching here, whoever comes P2 in this one will feel very, very hard done by. But that is what this championship is about. To race for the Scuderia, you've got to be the best of the best here. So this cutthroat format, it's the way it's got to be if you want the best prizes.
Yeah, well, it's a case of you don't want participation out there. You don't want to be there just to fill the numbers. You are there to win. And that is the mentality that is very much here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series right now. Now, we will have that second qualifying session coming on up, and it might be the most important qualifying session we have seen so far in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. We've seen that gap come in, and we saw for a number of those laps as well from Brandon Hawkin. He's able to match on a race pace lap for lap from time to time against Lucas Verla. He's now got to concoct it over what is 2 qualifying laps that he'll have with the time remaining.
Yeah, the pressure's going to be on for both of these drivers. Any one of them, if either of them have an issue, for example, and they end up down the back of the field, then the other one only needs to, get a few points more than the other. So the pressure is going to be on. They may as well be head-to-head because the points are so close and they're fighting right up the front that it doesn't really matter. It's just they just need to beat each other. And it's going to be fascinating to find out who comes out on top and who potentially crumbles as we go into Quali.
It's one final golden ticket that they are looking to try and book themselves in. They are trying to join up with drivers such as Cody Deeth, Caleb Hides, Fadli Rachmat. You're looking at Russell Reyes, Andika Maulana, William Chadwick, Francis McGinn, Aidan Walshingham. You've got Luca Lossio. You've got Jack Olivier, Nicholas Rubilar, Leandro Verla, Fidel Moreira, and Nicholas Alvadrado. They're looking at those drivers, those 14 that have already booked their place. Pretty much it's a case of, well, which way is it going to fall here, Rory? I'm going to ask you this question. Do you believe it's Verla's, or do you believe that Brandon Hawkins got something back in the tank?
Well, I don't know. I think you jumped the gun a little bit. It says Lucas Verla's already in, but I don't. But you know what? I think he's going to end up going, to be honest with you. I don't see how, as long as everything holds up for him technology-wise, I think he's got this in the bag. Simply because he hasn't been beaten in any race or even been behind any lap that he has been in. So, I can't see past him. What about yourself? What do you think?
I think you can't lie with the stopwatch, and I think Lucas Verla will join the likes of Leandro Verla in for the final. So I think that there is definitely going to be a chance here that Lucas Verla's got it. He's shown the pace. He's got 4 race victories. but you don't know. It's one final race and it's one final qualifying session. I think that's what we're going to have that joy with. And we've really been noticing out there that it's how you construct a lap. And really, I think what's been quite telling here is how aggressive they've all had to be up through the final sector of the lap. It is one of those final sectors where you're looking at it because they're not using the very tight formula style chicane. They're using that more open, more expansive Vidal chicane, which is used in endurance racing. And as such, you don't really get that big overtaking opportunity at the top of the hill that you necessarily do. And it's making these drivers have to really think heading to the end corner to try and make that pass.
Yeah, it's a funny track, this one, because it's almost like a slow start. You know, you go through the first sector. It's more about, it's heavy on the brakes to start, but it's more about precision. Where are you putting the car? Making sure you're getting the exit for the next corner right and all this sort of stuff. And then towards the end of the lap, you've got to absolutely chuck it into the Vidal chicane to have any chance of being close enough to get past, well, to get behind for that final chicane running down to turn number 1. So it's a fascinating, almost like a chess game, really, even with the drivers themselves, around getting everything right, being aggressive when they need to, being precise and sort of soft when they need to be as well. It really tests these drivers, and it shows just how good and what the quality of this field is.
Yeah, so they are looking at getting that sorted. So we will see how that goes through. I'm sure there was a slip of the tongue there. I did mean Leandro Verla back there, of course, trying to get himself, or has already booked himself through at this stage. But we are looking so happy at what we've got going forward. We know how important that qualifying session is going to be. And those drivers who are 3rd, 4th, 5th, we're really seeing that Lucas Murno is really starting to showcase what he's all about here. Very consistent driving here at the Nurburgring, and he's given himself 7 points of buffer, which, if you see how the pace of the top two have been so far, there's 15 points on offer essentially for them because they're playing best of the rest.
Yeah, and there's no shame in being best of the rest in this field, that's for sure. I would certainly take this. I bet you would as well, Jake. It's been an absolute masterclass from the front two. I mean, Verla has been fantastic. But, P2 behind him, hasn't been far behind. Just a couple of seconds over a 15-minute race. And a few tenths in quali. It's pretty good going for him. And as we've mentioned before, it's going to be super harsh on one of these drivers who doesn't make it to the final. But absolute relief, I would have thought, for the driver that does make it. But I guarantee you, all the other drivers that you mentioned will be watching this to see who's going to join them at Ferrari World Yas Island in Abu Dhabi.
Well, if I were Brandon Hawkin, I would get right on the back of that guy's spoiler, Lucas Verla. I think that if there is anybody that you are going to have to look at and say, where do I need to be? I need to be in A1 position on the road, Rory, and that's behind him.
Absolutely. That's it. There's no other option for him here. Obviously, other than potentially being in pole, there's no other option here. But it all goes out the window. Quali is a refresh. It's a slightly different format here from the other ones, where obviously we have a quali format, and then we have race 1 and race 2. Then it all restarts again. So there's all to play for here in this quali session before race number 3.
Well, we will see how race 3 will line up, because this qualifying session might be the most important of the lot. Let's stay with Lucas Verla for this one and see just how good he can find it. He gets the launch out of the end corner, and he will now look to really make that charge, dropping himself down through the field and really making it all pay here at the opening corner. That big drop down the hill, you're looking now to get that launch towards the arena, and looking through the left of turn 2, almost hitting that bollard there, that cone on the inside, right up over the curbs, then heading towards turn 3, knowing that he needs to get that hook up through turn 4, and he goes right to the left-hand side more than any other driver we've seen so far, and out then onto this next little section, this short shoot run towards turn 5, out on track, and now looking down the hill over towards turn 6, and this big turn 6 of the Paget Racing curve now leads him down to the Goodyear hairpin, which is carousel-esque, Rory, in its design. It's the perfect mimic of what is possibly the most famous corner of racing.
Yeah, one of the most absolute, well, certainly a fan favourite, and he's absolutely nailing it so far here as he comes up here, using all the curb on the left-hand side to get it over to the right, use the curb again, get it turned in nice and early, come through here past the Schumacher sign on the right there, and you're almost up over the hill. There's a bit of a blind braking point here just after the 100, or just before the 50 with these guys, because they're absolute animals round here. But yeah, almost towards the end of the lap as well. Get it over to the left, use all the track you can, but don't run too wide here. And then it's a run down the straight, in inverted commas, towards the Vidal chicane. Pick your braking point on the right hand side, absolutely chuck it in again, over the left, over the right, and then you're almost home. Just one final one. You've got to get it in here and then just be so patient. Wait till you can get straight up, get back on the power, and then you've made your way around. Let's see what lap time this is.
Well, that is a 54.4 down from Lucas Vela, and that is a money lap. It was 1.8 seconds clear of Emmanuel Lopez. It's 0.4 of a second, 3.5 clear of Brandon Hawkin again. So Hawkin has got exactly the same issue once more. 3.5 of a second down in qualifying and needing to find something more out of the car, and he will need that second lap more than anybody else. Emmanuel Lopez going around for a second lap's attempt, and he will find himself there. Lucas Murno will move to 4th, and Alexandre Fritz Conti moving up into the top 5. A brilliant first lap that we've seen then all across the board. But my word, the top 2 are 1.8 seconds quicker in qualifying, quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, the only real solace that Hawking can take from this is that he's not down in 3rd place or anything like that. They've got, as you say, a commanding lead over everybody else here. So he's going to, no matter how far he starts behind Verla in terms of time, he's only going to be about a car length behind him on the grid. So that is going to be the most important thing here. As long as he starts in P2, he has got a chance, Jake, and he's going to have to hang on to that. And it looks like he will do at the moment, but lots of people have got their final laps to come in. But Verla at the moment is just looking like he is commanding this one once again. Could he get the triple crown here and get 3 out of 3 at the Nurburgring GP?
Well, at the moment, he looks set on course for that. Brandon Hawkin needs to get angry, or he needs to get calm, or he needs to listen to Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, or I don't know what he needs, but he needs something that's going to get himself that extra time. Lopez making his way around the final corner here, the end corner, looking to try and get over towards the line. 54.4 still the time to beat, and he'll cross the line on a 56 flat. He will improve by 0.2 of a second, so it gives him 0.6 now worth of a buffer over Lucas Murno, who is there in 4th position, but that would be unless Mauricio Lozano decides he wants to jump up, and he puts his time then almost exactly a second behind Lucas Verla's and goes 3rd fastest. Murno over the line goes 4th quickest with his lap time then, and he jumps up, getting that second lap through and finding more and more confidence in the car. So we're seeing a difference in philosophies. Verla going on for one final lap, and lest we forget, Brandon Hawkins got one too.
Yeah, let's see. This is now it really for Brandon Hawking. Can he finally outdo his nemesis in this championship, Verla? I mean, he's just been absolutely incredible so far. He's been so clinical. We've seen it in a couple of other regions as well, where people have just dominated and won every single race. And it's been the same here with Verla, but Hawkins has to now put everything into this. He's got one last shot of finally trying to disturb Verla. Will he do it though? I wish I said he could do, but I'm not sure he can. I think he's just got too much.
Well, we will see. This lap is going to be super important here in the context of this championship push. Who is going to take the bragging rights advantage? Remember that between first and second, it's there. Santino Francadavico moves up to 5th position. It's 7 points difference between a win and second position. It's a case you'd feel between these two have been head and shoulders above the rest of the field. Who is above who? Who is going to be head and shoulders above the rest, and who's got what? Brandon Hawkin will be the second car of the two around, so he will be one of the last drivers to put a time in on the board, and you can see he's using all of the circuit right now through the big left-hander, leading to Bilstein corner here, this fast 90-degree right, hooking up for the exit, hoping that he's got it. When he tried this lap in the first qualifying session, it fell apart at the end corner. Lucas Verla is trying to push, but he might have traffic through the final corner trying to improve, which might stymie his lap time. We'll see whether a 54.4 is improved on. And no, it won't be. He hit the brakes before, and Hawking goes to the pits, so he couldn't improve either. Verla takes the strike again, and Hawkins found his kryptonite.
Yep, just absolutely, that's it. Now, he's done everything he can do to this point. Pole, 2 wins, and then 1 more pole. So he's now got 1 more step to take before he does the clean sweep here at the Nurburgring. Unfortunately for both of them, actually, that they found themselves some traffic and a couple of mistakes were made as well. But it's going to be status quo once again. Verla, P1. Let's see if he can hold it coming out of turn 1.
Let us see whether that is going to be another case. And the start has been so vitally important. How much of a good launch do you get? It's worth noting that it is the odd-numbered drivers here, Rory, who have got the rubbered-in track to go and make their launch off of. So the double, I would say, dose that is there for Brandon Hawkin is he's starting on the dirty side of the track.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to deal with. You get the right to the clean side of the track with P1. I mean, you get it in P3 as well, but you don't want that really, to be honest with you, because you're just never going to have. Well, you're going to have the outside down into turn number 1 there. So it was going to be really interesting to see here how he takes this first turn. He's got to absolutely go for it here. His championship is on the line here. But then if there's contact, he will remain in P2 if they both leave the race. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens and what strategy he takes in just a few moments as this race gets underway.
Rory, I just want to point this out for you as a fact. Brandon Hawkin was 2/10 quicker than his first qualifying lap. Lucas Verla was also 2/10 quicker than his first qualifying lap.
So he's still got it, right? It's like a boxing match here. There's a punch and then there's a counter punch every single time. But it looks like Verla's had the upper hand every single time. But we never know what's going to happen here at one of the most notorious turn 1s in all of motor racing. So let's see if they can get through.
Well, if I were Brandon Hawkin, I would go out there, I'd be aggressive. I would say I would dive down into that corner and try and scare Lucas Verla into braking a little bit later. Throw it down in on the apex, try a block pass, try anything that you can. They're all lining themselves up ready. There is one final race left in the Ferrari HP Esports Series regional qualifiers, the Americas Regional Finals, round 18, round 6 of 6. Who is going to book their place, Lucas Verla or Brandon Hawkin? Who wants to step up and say to the plate, it is going to be mine? You do not want to turn away, be it here on Ferrari's YouTube, be it over on Ferrari Esports on Twitch. This is where great sim racing is going to be brought to you. And I tell you what, we are sat right on the cusp of one of the great stories, no matter which way it goes. Lucas Verla starting 11 points down with looking for 5 race victories to try and get his season sorted after technical issues forced him out of round 3 over at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Or Brandon Hawkin, who has taken punch after punch after punch and now is looking for the one shot to say, all I've got to do is beat Lucas Verla 1-on-1. 6 red lights are going to put themselves up. Lights on and lights are out, and we are underway here at the Nurburgring. And Lucas Vela, so typically as he does, gets a good start but comes over to cover because Brandon Hawkin, for the first time, has had a great start. He'll look down for it now at turn 1. He moves heavy to the outside. This is key. Round the outside he goes, but is he too deep through the corner? Uses all of the outside, struggles on the outside. Vela has got it again.
Oh, but you've got to really take your hat off to him. I thought he was going to pull it off there. He was doing exactly what we wanted him to do there. Is absolutely take it to Verla. Unfortunately, he outbroke himself a little bit down into turn number 1, but it shows that he is up for it. And I expect, well, I hope actually, he's going to end up going after him here. Let's see. But at the moment, Verla has, well, after that little scare at least, he's now taken his lead back. And all he needs to do now is just take it to the end.
He needs to. Ran Marino now finding himself in 9th position. He's trying to find some steady hands out there as Alexandre Fritz-Conti, is there looking to get past Angel Chan, who's up into 7th position. He's done well, and there goes Skittles as they go through. Marino taking contact there. I think Rojas was caught in it, and that might have been Fantozzi who had thrown the car in deep. Massive amounts of contact and lots of drivers now throwing themselves down. I think Max Bowman will be another one who's there. Disaster down at Goodyear's hairpin.
Max Bowman in and amongst it again. He always seems to be in and amongst it, does Max. But these guys are just really chucking it all into each other here as it's the final race of these guys' championship, the final round of the Ferrari Esports championship as well. It's just, yeah, they're just absolutely going for it here. It's an absolute pleasure to see. But let's have a look up front here. Verla is out front. Good.
And there is Mauricio Lozano running himself wide, and Emmanuel Lopez picks up a freebie and jumps up into 4th position. You can tell how hard they're pushing. They can tell there are no races left after this because look at the margins. They're all driving at 100%, trying to get what they can out of it here.
Yeah, this is it. As we're saying, there's nothing left after this. I mean, for a lot of these drivers as well, that they've had an issue in that their championship was over before this. It was mathematically impossible for them to get through. So they're just racing for pride right now, and we're really seeing it.
Yeah, and that pride, I think, is being really shown. 1 second it ticks up at the front of this field, and Brandon Hawkin now knows he's in a duel, and he's got to really fight back. Ran Marino there in 10th place, looking at Rodrigo Rojas in front of him. P9 trying to get that pass through and sorted down at the Padgett Racing curve, and now looking to get that long launch down to the Goodyear hairpin and really try and exacerbate what has been a fantastic run from Ran Marino in race 2. He wants to get that back. The qualifying wasn't quite there, and he still just has to sit and wait and look for it because he'll be quite alert to if there was any damage on the car when he went down in through last time. Takes a lot of grass and curb there going up into the Schumacher S, and that might just slow his run down ever so slightly.
Yeah, you want to get as close as possible that you can to that curb, but you don't want to get on it because it also unsettled the car for the second part of that chicane that you ideally want to take flat out here. So yeah, he will definitely have a little bit of unsettling going on there, but he hasn't lost too much time and he'll be able to recover, chuck it through the Riedel chicane and hopefully look for a move down into turn number 1.
Well, he'll hope that he can find the opening corner as his place where he can make the pass. Marino throwing it through, but it doesn't look likely there with the gap that started to form. And there you can see the fastest lap, which is set now by Lucas Verla, a 1:54.873 in the bottom right-hand corner. The gap now at the front, 1.2 seconds as Mauricio Lozano now starts thinking about Emmanuel Lopez and a move up into 4th with Lucas Murno up there in 3rd. It could, again, continuing on his great streaks worth of running out there at this stage. But for Mauricio Lozano, he's got to try and work out, can I find a way to make that move? And I think that's a mistake that he was looking to try and capitalise on. Very aggressive back over to the left-hand side by Emmanuel Lopez. And all of a sudden, you start looking at Lozano and think, you know what, he might have a chance. And so too Santino Francadavico back there in P6.
Yeah, so technical through that first part of the lap here that, you know, so many mistakes can be made, especially with the stakes so high to be honest. You just see so many mistakes there. You've got to be really precise. You've got to make sure that you're taking your wide entrances so you can get on the power as early as possible. A slight mistake, as we saw, allows somebody else straight on the back of them. So these guys are operating really, really hard. Somebody else here comes down into the hairpin here and absolutely goes for it in the true spirit of a final race of a championship. It's fantastic racing here, Jake. I absolutely love it.
It is. It's John Ackerman round the outside of the Schumacher S. How often do you see that, Rory?
Not very often, but John Ackerman, he's going to be the kind of guy who does that. We've seen it from him all evening tonight. He's been on he's been absolutely on one. Every single decent or ambitious move that we've seen has been from Ackerman, and he has pulled it off. But speaking of ambitious moves here, let's have a look as they run up towards the Vidal chicane here. He's actually taking the inside line, which will then become the outside line. So he's going to try and break a little bit later here and get the overlap. There's contact. He's made it through that. Oh, but the car behind did not. So they both come through, and he's got the job done just.
Everyone there from 9th on back has scattered at 6s and 7s, trying to get out of the way. Marino holds 9th now. It's Bryant Matter who's found himself now into the top 10, and the likes of Ackerman holds 11th, with Moraes trying to find a way through, and Rojas. So Rodrigo Rojas trying to hope, and so too Diogo Moraes, who now moves to the outside trying to get the move sorted, but has he left the door open down through the opening corner and in towards the arena once again? Answer to that is no. He just about covers it off, and he's done exactly what he wants with that. Great racing between them. 1.4 now the gap at the front of the field, and this is looking like more of the same. It's been the story all night at the front of the field here, Rory. Brandon Hawkin does not have the pace.
No, Brandon Hawkin will be seeing his championship and his chances of going to Ferrari World Yas Island and Abu Dhabi slipping away from him there, and he'll be seeing it just not by much as well. That's the fine margins here. Yeah, it's 1.4 now, up to 1.6 seconds ahead, but that's really not too much here. They've been going for quite some time here, almost halfway through the race now, and he's only that far behind. So Lucas Verla is getting the job done at this point, but last time he was let down by technical issues. So let's be hoping that he's not going to have that again, because that could rip any chances he has completely away from him.
Yep, you can only hope and pray if you're in the Lucas Verla camp. Same could be said actually for Brandon Hawkin right now. He's got to hope and pray that he finds some time, or there's a mistake or something out of what has been a faultless Lucas Verla in the way that he's been driving this championship so far. But once more again, Lozano looking at Emmanuel Lopez here for 4th position, and he's not quite there, and Santino Francadavico is there, happy to be on the back, happy to have a look and see what they've got. Now just 7 minutes remaining on the regional qualifiers, and now you start thinking about, okay, so where do I go get the moves? Where do I go get the right moves at the right time? Brian Shabelski, we haven't talked about all day, against Vinicius for position. Can he get past Raul Vinicius? He'll need himself all the way to the opening corner.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're battling for 1st, for 10th, or for last, pretty much like these guys are. These guys are battling for absolutely everything. It's just that pride on the line, isn't it, at the end of the day? These are pretty much the last drivers on the track here, going hammer and toe, or hammer and nail, I should say, to try and get this final couple of positions. It's just brilliant to watch, and I think it's been such a, Oh, there's just a move around the, he's going to try and go around the outside here, which is going to give him the inside to the next corner. Is he going to give him some space on the outside? Yeah, he can run really, really wide on that corner, actually, so he's going to get away with it. But yeah, fantastic racing, as I say, Jack, up and down the field.
And take a freebie, Alexandre Fritz Conti. He will sneak down the inside of Brian Shabelski and say, that's mine, I'll have that 15th position. And I quite like this one, Mr. Vinicius, for P14. If I possibly can. He's hoping for that way forward. He's hoping for that pass. He's not going to get it down here at the Goodyear hairpin, but he is going to run deep to try and really open up the exit, and you can use the exit of the corner quite well down there at the bottom of the circuit, the lowest section of the circuit, and the climb back up the hill that it does constitute as you drive back for it. Big wiggle over the top of the Schumacher S, and Raul Vinicius, I think, is going to give up one, and I think down the inside, Shabelski is going to try and say you give up 2, and he does. 2 for his mistake, and through go both Fritz Conti and Brian Shabelski.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. That tiny mistake there. As we move up, we have a look at Lozano here with Franco Fratozzi as well. Let's see how these guys are getting on, battling for 5th place here. As we've now got under 5 minutes to go, I'd love to take a look at Verla actually and Hawkin as well, because the gap is kind of staying, it's kind of staying a bit stagnant here. 1.7 seconds now. I mean, it's more than enough. It'd be interesting to see what that's like in terms of track terms. But yeah, it's going to be a real tough mountain to climb for Hawkin here in the last few laps. We've probably got about 3 laps, maybe 4 to go for Verla to bring this one home and complete a pretty miraculous recovery here.
The only way that's going to stop is if nerves take over, and then at that point you're pretty much at the lap of the gods. Lozano looking at 4th place here with Emmanuel Lopez in the red, just in front, behind Santino Franco-Davico, who is trying to find his pass through and go up inside the top 5, trying to look around the outside then of the Goodyear hairpin up to the Schumacher S. They come along once again, and for one more time Maurizio Lozano can only stare at the red Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo that is there in front of him and realise I've still not quite got what I need. 2 seconds it just ticked over at the front of the field. This is desperation moments right now at the front, but in the mid-pack here, or what we're saying for 4th, 5th and 6th, we got some great racing, and there in the front 4, or in the background there, it was going to be Lucas Murno. That's what they were hoping to try and chase, and again, the ever difficult to pass Emmanuel Lopez, proving still however difficult he is to overtake.
Yeah, fantastic driving here from all 3 of them, to be honest, but particularly from Lopez here, just putting the car in the right position. So as we've mentioned earlier, he's been doing it all evening. He just puts the car in the right position to make sure that Lozano cannot make a move. But we wanted him to make a move though, because Franco is going to be closing on him. He's clearly faster than Lopez, but he can't get it done. So he's having to be experimental with his lines. He's having to take suboptimal lines here to try and get the job done. And it's allowing Franco to get onto the back of him, and he's getting closer and closer and closer. I think we're going to see him move soon.
Well, he's only got 2 laps to go and find this move, because they are running very, very short on time. And I think it's more now in the realms of Santino Franco-Davico's chance to now start thinking about whether that pass can be made. Again, line astern. Down the hill at turn 5, over towards turn 6 and the Paget Racing curve, the toughest corner, I'd argue, on this circuit. Downhill, and then it flattens out on the exit, so you still have to wait for the power, for all of the grip to hit all 4 of the tyres.
Yeah, I mean, as we said before, you take too much speed in there, you're potentially out into the gravel. You may just dip a wheel onto the gravel as well. It's going to spin your car around and you'll end up on the inside and it'll be your race over. Not take enough speed though, and then you're vulnerable coming down into the hairpin. So, it really is a no-win situation for these drivers who are at the top of their game here, fighting for one of the biggest prizes in esports. I couldn't imagine the pressure here. I would certainly crumble, Jake. I don't know about you.
Well, I know I wouldn't get here in the first place because I don't have the pace. It's that simple. These drivers are fantastic in what they've been able to do, and they will now know that it's all about finding a single place. And there's a thought to the inside, getting wide in the mirrors, Maurizio Lozano, as they will now sit onto the final lap of this season, knowing there is only one opportunity left to claw back some all-important time, which Brandon Hawkin knows is 2.1. Watch out, because here goes Santino Franco-Davico, over with the draft being gifted away by Emmanuel Lopez to try and get this pass. They're going to throw it in here at turn 1 with everything that they've got. Then Davico just about given the room as they enter the arena for the final time. Dancing around here goes Maurizio Lozano, and then just a little bit too wide there. The understeer kicking in at turn 2 is very much there. Nothing that Franco-Davico can do about that except stare once more at the blue and white in front, where they know there is nothing that can be done. At 1.9 seconds at the front of the field, Lucas Vela has been simply put outstanding here today. You can't say that Brandon Hawkin hasn't tried. He threw everything at it. He knew he was beat in race 1. He knew he was close in race 2. He tried everything he could. He just overbroke it through the opening corner. If he'd had a normal braking line, he would have had a great shot of taking it through turns 2, 3 and 4 to Lucas Vela, giving him the attack that he wants, and he will replay that moment over and over again at the opening corner. Lozano still not close enough to get what he wants, which is the move that he's needed. There are 14 drivers who are currently booked in at Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. You look around with the timer now at 0. There is only one driver to keep in mind. He has got 5 race wins this season. He has looked back and said, chips are down, you need your best. And absolutely, this man has delivered. Lucas Vela will now take the final corner, and welcome to Abu Dhabi. He will go, the final entrant in the grand final.
Absolutely incredible from Lucas Vela there. A well-deserved, incredible performance here from him. He's just been absolutely classy. You know, Hawking as well there going alongside him, flashing his lights there, showing, you know, a bit of respect there. I mean, Hawking didn't make it, but it's not through a lack of trying. Sometimes you've just got to accept you were beaten by the better driver on the day, or over 2 days, as it was on this case, and a well-earned ticket to the final goes to Lucas Vela.
We will note that all results are unofficial at this moment in time. We are expecting that, though, to be pretty quickly marked as official in terms of Lucas Vela's driving, because he's been in no trouble and he's been absolutely faultless over the course of those 2 races. The only thing that has stopped him is his own internet, ultimately, and he's got 5 wins and a non-finish. And you look at Brandon Hawking by comparison here, Rory, it's 5 second places and a win, and it's not enough.
No, and on any other sim as well, he would be there as well, because of course there's only one driver who got through in this sim, and that is Lucas Vela. 125 points there to Brandon Hawkins 115, and they were the best by a country mile. Lucas Murno, in 3rd, and then just the rest, really, I'd say, Jake.
Yeah, Emmanuel Lopez in 4th, Santino Francadavico there, just edging out Mauricio Lozano to the end. Angel Chan will pick up 8th place in the championship, with Bruno Fantozzi having a good round here today and going up to 7th position overall. We'll flip over the page to 9th and down, and these drivers who maybe had more struggles out there, likes of Alexandre Fritz Conti, had a great run overall in this season, but only manages 9th, and you're looking down at those like Tyler Sadaka and Rodrigo Rojas, for example. Nathan Caetano da Silva down there on 2 points in 16th position in the Ferrari HP Esports Series regional qualifier for the Americas on Assetto Corsa. But, oh my, we have ourselves some wonderful, great racing that has brought itself through. We now have our final 15, which is important. So now we can say Cody Deeth, Caleb Hyde, Fadli Rachmat, there, Russell Reyes, Andika Rama Maulana, William Chadwick, Francis McGinn, Aidan Walshingham, Luca Lossio, Jack Olivier, Nicholas Rubilar, Leandro Vela, Fidel Moreira, Nicholas Alvadrado, and finally, it is Lucas Vela who is going to join as the final Americas region slot. They all know what they've got to race for. It is a trip out, of course, to Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. It's a LAN final, and just the understanding of a LAN final, Rory, I think is going to be really important to talk about. What is the big difference that they're going to run into compared to racing at home on their own setups and feeling really, really happy and comfy at home?
That's exactly what you just said there, Jake. Being at home in their own rig, being absolutely comfy, you know, and happy with nobody watching them for the most part. They may have their mum or their dog watching them or something, but when we go out to Ferrari World Yas Island in Abu Dhabi, it's completely different. It's not their rig. There's going to be loads of people watching them, and most importantly, the pressure is going to be through the roof. They've had a couple of stages so far. So 1, they had to qualify, tick, they've done that. 2, they needed to qualify from their regional finals. Those drivers have ticked and done that, but now the stakes could not be any higher, because a couple of drivers are going to end up driving for the HP Ferrari Esports team, and it's going to be absolutely incredible, life-changing.
Yes, it absolutely is, because at the end of the day, they're racing for one thing and one thing only. They want to put on a little bit of red at the end of the day, don't they? They want to be a Scuderia Ferrari HP Esports driver.
Who doesn't?
And who doesn't? Exactly. That's the point. Who doesn't? It is a price which a lot of people, when they grew up as children and looked up and they saw Michael Schumacher dominating in Formula One, for example, or they saw how the red has been so synonymous out there over motorsport and car manufacturing, and has been basically a brand that is synonymous with victory and winning. You look around at that and say, I want to be a part of history, and this is a way to be a part of history that very few people get an opportunity to say they can do.
Absolutely, and every single one of them is going to be dreaming tonight of how their final's going to go. You know, I don't think any of them are going to sleep well tonight, because now the stage is set. Now they know what they have to do. The countdown is on to the finals, and I cannot wait to see who comes out on top. The best of the best are all going to congregate together, and it's going to be an absolute show.
It is going to be a wonderful show out there. And really, I think for the first time, these drivers are going to look around and say, well, this is the competition. This is what we have to deal with. So when you sit down and you look at it, you say, right, Rory, you've got this opportunity. You've got 14 other drivers that you maybe have only mingled with, what, one of them out there potentially as you've gone on through the season and trying to work it out. How do you learn so quickly to deal with such quick drivers? Because this is the creme de la creme.
Yeah, and the challenge is going to be whose weakness is strongest. You know, who's non-sim? Because this is it. Now they've got to prove themselves. You know, they're all like individual sim specialists, but, you know, they've all got to go on each other's sims now. So, you know, you're going to have AC specialists going against iRacing specialists, iRacing specialists going against ACC specialists. And it's whose weakness is strongest is going to end up getting the ultimate prize.
We just have been able to catch at the 11th hour here a very happy Lucas Vela, who joins us right now, and he's got himself there. We'll get him at the in just a little bit, but he's had a wonderful run that he's gone forward with. But we have had an amazing show that has been brought to you here with some incredible sim racing action that's gone through. 15 drivers now have a ticket, and they are looking for a golden chance right now. It will be December 5th that you need to mark in your calendar here with us at Ferrari, because that will get you through to where you need to be. Ferrari World, Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. 15 tickets have been stamped from Rory Alexander, from myself, Jake Sperry, from the likes of Santander, Bit Defender, Thrustmaster, Richard Mille, and Next Level Racing. Your Ferrari HP Esports Series Grand Final is set, and we will see you there very soon.